All right, so I am setting up this session here to talk about forcing it. And I actually wrote a blog post about this that I'm going to go through on my site. So if you want to follow along, just go to my site, fruitfullife.info, and you can just go to my blog page there and you would find the blog article that I wrote that says, Don't Force It. And so I wanted to just go through this because it was really, really on my heart to talk about this topic. And just to give a little bit of background, I would say that the Lord has been walking me through this period of my life that He calls being real. And so with that, there's been so many different lessons that I've been learning this year in terms of what it means to be real for me and what that looks like in my life and some of the things that the Lord has been showing me. So I really want to share this with you guys and hopefully you're blessed by it. So I'm just going to read from my actual blog post that I called Don't Force It. So I start off by saying I grew up in a household where I was forced to do everything. I was forced to treat my siblings a certain way. I was forced to apologize when I didn't want to apologize. I was forced to forgive when I didn't want to forgive. I was forced to shut up when I didn't want to shut up. I was forced to be quiet when I didn't want to be quiet. I was forced to stop crying when my tears are all that soothed me. I was forced to share when I didn't want to share. I was forced to kiss and make up with my siblings whenever I got in an argument. And that was constant throughout my whole life. Oh, hey there. And that was something just as a child growing up that I was constantly faced with, just being forced to respond or feel a certain thing when I actually was feeling something totally different. So this is exactly what this article is about that I wrote here, and something that I'm reading on my blog site, fruitfullife.info, for everyone else who's just joining right now. You can go there and follow along with me because I'm talking about the topic, Don't Force It, and what that looks like, right? So in the blog post, I continue on to say everything I did wasn't because I always want, because it was always in my heart to do. What did all of this result in? It resulted in me not knowing how I truly felt about something. I didn't know my true opinion about things. Then when I had an opinion, I was afraid to share it out of a feeling it was not the right thing to say. I didn't know how to be real, honest, and truthful with myself. And that's something that I've always struggled with my whole life. Is just being real, like how I really feel, right? So if I don't want to do something, saying no. If I want to do something, saying yes. If I didn't like what was being said or done, then being honest about that. That's something that I personally struggled with and continue to walk through, because that's just where the Lord has me right now, walking through a point in my life where just I'm being honest and truthful with myself and with everybody else. And as you can see, which is important, this stemmed from my childhood. As a child, I was forced to act a certain way. And that put me in a mindset to where I was pretending to be happy or pretending to be this or pretending to be that when I truly wasn't, right? So I go on to say, I was afraid to be upset and mad. I felt ashamed of my feelings. Growing up in my life, I began to suppress my feelings as I developed a subconscious that my feelings were important. Being forced to feel a certain way or do a certain thing or respond a certain way caused me to put my feelings aside and respond to all people and situations out of a textbook and not reality. And so I was taught, oh, my feelings don't matter. Put those aside, wait another time, talk about it later, and don't face it, right? So I didn't know how to deal with the things that I was feeling. I didn't know how to accept my feelings. I didn't know how to just dwell there where I was. I was always taught to force myself out of that feeling because it wasn't considered right, right? So in my blog post on my site, and again, if you want to follow along, just go to fruitfullife.info/blog and they click on the blog post that says, Don't Force It. And so let me find myself in the blog site because I just lost my place. Okay, so in reality, I had emotions. I had confusion, I had regret, I had fear, I had anger, I had unforgiveness, all as a child, but wasn't allowed to honestly express these emotions because it disrupted the hearts of others. And how many times do we do that, right? We like suppress our emotions because it's going to make somebody else feel uncomfortable, or we just go along with something because it's going to make somebody else feel good or feel okay or feel better. But on the inside, we don't want to, right? That's when we're forcing ourselves to do something that we don't want to. And it's not a healthy state to be in. So let's continue. I continue to write. Now, we may have all at some point been taught to treat people the way we want to be treated. Well, that is not always possible to do. And when we force others to treat someone a way that is not in their heart, it puts them in a place where they are trapped in a false reality. And I see that there's so many people, and I know women, because we have this persona over ourselves, or people place over us where, oh, we have to be this type of woman. Um, we can't yell, we can't get angry, can't do all these things because then we're perceived to be something that we're not. But in reality, we have emotions. Every human being has emotions, and it is perfectly okay to express them. And it's important to know where you are, your emotions, to be self-aware of where you're currently standing and accept the fact that you're there. Like, don't try to force yourself to do something that is just not in your heart to do, right? So let's continue, because it's important about this in terms of like what God says, right? So I wrote, living in an uncandid place where they are pretending just so they can please the mind, will, and emotions of others, right? In my experience, there has always been someone in a relationship who is the endurer and someone in the relationship who is the sufferer. The endurer is the one who typically loves the other person, although they are being mistreated. God has either given this person the strength to endure or is building up their endurance. Then there is the sufferer, who is the one that is not treating the other person nicely because they are suffering something. So God is either growing this person in love for themselves or love for others. Both roles have their part in building the other person up to have a better character, better integrity, greater strength, and greater peace in this life, right? So there's always going to find that in every dynamic of a relationship, somebody's either going to be enduring something that somebody else is going through, or some frustration or some anger that they have, or something that just is not the easiest thing to deal with. And there's always going to be one who's suffering, right? Suffering as in they're going through a difficult time. And because they're going through a difficult time, you may be challenged in interacting and dealing with them in your relationship with them, right? But yeah, both roles have their part in building the other person up to have a better character, better integrity, greater strength, and greater peace in this life. So there's a purpose behind it, and that's the key. For those who are reading this, if you are a parent, or those who are listening, if you're a parent, I ask you to consider this. Are you a leader to your child, or are you a dictator to your child? Right? Do you take the time to lead them by nourishing them with your time, attention, and greater wisdom so they can freely be who they are, to have the freedom and ability to make decisions and choices out of their honest heart? Or out of a lack of patience, do you dictate to your child? Right? Do you force them to respond a certain way just so you can tell the situation, just so you can call the situation resolved when it is not truly resolved? So what I'm saying is this: God doesn't force us to do anything. He patiently and mercifully endures our heart's desires. Or he patiently and mercifully endure our heart issues, presents truth and love to us, steers us in the right direction, and allows us to choose. And that freed me so much when I came to the realization, right, that God is not out here forcing people to be a certain way. He's not out here forcing you to do certain things. He's not out here forcing you to think certain things. He purposely designed it for us to choose how we want to respond, right? Yeah, of course, He would love for us to, forgive and walk in love and constantly do that. But it's not something that we can do on our own. It's not something that just because we decide today I'm going to forgive and then all of a sudden I'm forgiving everybody. It's not like that. It's a place to where you're constantly choosing, you're constantly learning to walk in love, and you're constantly in this place to where God is grooming you, changing your heart, and making you into a person that walks uprightly, righteously, and patiently as He does, right? But it's a process. So let's see what else I wrote here. Um, so how is it that God can do this? That's the question. He can watch us completely mess up things, waste time, struggle, hurt ourselves, and hurt others, and still not force us to change. Like, how many parents you know out there who have kids, watch their kids mess up stuff, watch their kids waste time, watch their kids struggle, watch their kids hurt themselves, hurt them, hurt somebody else, and then not start forcing them to do something instead of like educating them, building them up, nourishing them with truth, which is going to automatically push out the stuff in their heart that's causing them to not walk in love and peace. And then they will have a better ability to choose what is right because what was in their heart that was causing them to not want to love and not want to forgive is no longer there because the truth has come in, which has deserted and caused all of the lies and the false truth to leave, right? Because when we don't want to forgive and when we don't want to walk in love, it's because we have some kind of false truth in our heart. To consider that. Um, it says, I'll tell you this. God knows the end result. He knows the end. He knows in the end we are victorious, not by our efforts, but by His mercy, grace, and unconditional love. So, you see, so often we get caught up in the present, believing that the present is our final resting place, and that growth is not possible. However, when you see the end, you know that victory is on the other side for you and the other person. Then you patiently endure the present trial and struggle, looking forward to that day of victory and peace. So I ask you, where are your eyes focused? Are you focused on hopelessness or faithfulness? Are you focused on present day failures or long term victories? Wherever your heart is right now, it is okay. It is okay if your heart is in a place where you can't see the forest for the trees. God will come in and illuminate a clear path for you to lead you out onto solid ground with no obstructed views. So the purpose is that knowing it's okay where you are. You don't have to try to come out of this place. And that used to be my biggest struggle. I used to be like, oh my God, I'm in unforgiveness. I need to get out of here right now. And I would try to like force myself out of this place of unforgiveness when I can't, right? And if I do, then I'm actually going to hurt myself. And I'm going to, because I didn't go through the full learning process that God was trying to teach me. When something else comes up where I need to forgive, it's going to be harder for me then because I haven't learned what I needed to learn from the first opportunity, because I was so busy forcing myself out of a place that God wanted me to actually learn something in and walk through and not run through. So, continuing on, I say, God will not leave you there with a broken heart full of hurt, pain, and agony. He will not leave you there and walk away. He will chase you down, come to you, and bring you into greater understanding, peace, freedom, wisdom, knowledge, and much more. God's path out of this place doesn't come easy, but it comes through suffering, for through the suffering comes greater peace. And it's true. It's like the more Jesus Christ suffered on earth, the more he was growing in wisdom, right? In knowledge and wisdom, the scripture says. So that's the same thing with us. When we suffer, when we go through some difficulties, some storms, some stormy weather, we grow in knowledge, strength, wisdom, and greater character, peace. Everything comes out of that. Things are birthed out of our suffering. But God doesn't allow us to suffer for a long time, right? So it's like after the suffering, He's going to strengthen you. He's going to stand you up. He's going to place you on a solid ground. He's going to give you the peace and restoration, everything you need to restore you, that you're walking stronger, not worse than the suffering, than when you were before the suffering, but stronger. And that's the purpose of it, so that you become stronger, right? So I continue to say, however, we don't have to force ourselves or others to be a certain way. We don't have to like how we are behaving or how others are behaving. Of course, God would love for us to demonstrate forgiveness and love towards our brothers and sisters. But if it is not in your heart to do, then don't force it, right? That's the key. Don't force it. If it's not in your heart to forgive, don't force it. If it's not in your heart um, to love right now, don't force it. No matter if it's not in your heart, don't force it. The key is go to God about it. Ask Him to strengthen you. Ask Him for understanding. Ask Him for wisdom of where you're resting and why you're resting. That's the first step. You know, I remember one time I was going through something difficult and challenging, and I was finding I didn't know at the time, but I had regret in my heart, and I didn't know like what is this that I was feeling, and I had to just straight up ask the Lord like, what is this in my heart? And He explaining to me that it's regret, and then He walked me through the understanding of why I'm regretting. And then He gave me the wisdom to know that I don't have to regret because He has already worked out the whole situation, worked out a plan, have something better for me. So I don't have to regret my mistakes in the past because He's already made a plan for me in the future. And so in that understanding, when it came to my mind, immediately that is my heart issue of wanting to stay in a place of regret, I let it go because I was hopeful for the future. And that's the key. So God will deliver hope to you for your future, and that hope will cause you to come out of this place where you may walk in, unforgiveness and no love, et cetera, et cetera. But again, it comes by the Lord and His Word and hope and love. So, yeah, moving on. That is the key in behind this whole message that I'm talking about now. So don't force relationships or people to think, feel, or respond a certain way. Well, the outcome of forcing yourself or other people to do certain things will only be worse than where you are, than where you or they are now. And so it's important that we shouldn't force somebody else to change, and we shouldn't force ourselves to change, right? It's about just being real, being honest, being yourself, and letting God do the rest. So that's what this whole message is about. So I'll encourage you guys to, if you're on my website, to comment on the actual blog post and let me know what you think. And share your comments, your thoughts there. Is this something that you're walking through? Is this something that you've been through, or God has showed you a few things in this area that could possibly help somebody else? Share it, please, in the comments. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, then share it in the YouTube comments underneath the video. And then if you're watching this on IG Live, let me know, comment there as well. So hopefully this bless you guys, because I know for me, it truly opened up my eyes to see that it's okay. And I'm learning to be truly who God has made me to be, and to be real in everything that I'm feeling, everything that I want, not being a pushover, so to speak, because I'm going to subdue my own emotions for the sake of someone else. And that's what it's about, ladies. So, yeah, don't force it. Be real, be honest, and enjoy where you are right now in this time in your life. So we'll talk soon. See you guys on the next live video.